The highly anticipated Epstein List is finally out. Hundreds of pages of court records tied to the convicted sex offender were unsealed yesterday. So they reference some pretty big names, from politicians to celebrities. People like former presidents Bill Clinton and Donald Trump are in them, as well as Prince Andrew, David Copperfield, and Michael Jackson. Bill Clinton is mentioned more than 50 times. There are no allegations of any wrongdoing. One accuser did say that Epstein said that Clinton, quote, likes them young. Trump's name is mentioned a few times, but no reference is made to any illegal behavior on his part. Prince Andrew's name appeared in testimony from a witness who alleged he, quote unquote, put his hand on her breast, as well as another accuser who claimed she was told to have sex with him on Epstein's private island. Prince Andrew has repeatedly denied any allegations of wrongdoing. So now that some of these documents have finally been revealed, what do you think about what they actually say? Because Jeff, you've been very invested in this. Before you chime in, Tori, you have some additional information.
Yeah, I just want to be clear. Some of these people were mentioned in this, and they didn't really have much to do with it, including David Copperfield, the illusionist, who actually, someone recalled him questioning, are these girls getting paid to find other girls? Like, he was actually concerned. Other people like Michael Jackson, they said she met, this witness said she met Michael Jackson at Epstein's house in Palm Beach, but did not massage him. So some people like Leonardo DiCaprio were mentioned, but just as like name drops. So anyone mentioned in this entire deposition about Virginia would be in here. So that includes some innocent names, including some of those people I just mentioned.
So a lot of hearsay.
A lot of hearsay. All of it.
Jimmy
hearsay.
Kimmel's name?
No, absolutely not. Nowhere near it. Let's make that really clear. But again, this list has a bunch of people he just ended up talking about or happened to be there that can get mixed up in all of this.
So are people going to use discernment, Jeff?
Absolutely not. This turned into Al Capone's vault. And if you don't get the reference, it's when Geraldo famously went to Al Capone's vault, and there was nothing there. There was nothing here. There's names on the list. But when I say that, how we live and where we live in society, there is going to be repercussions. Okay? I'm going to talk for a minute here, so
sure.
I apologize. Just what I posted yesterday, okay, on my social media. I'm fine with what I posted, but people don't understand where other people are coming from. I said you got to crack a couple eggs with Donald Trump or with Bill Clinton and Bill Gates to take down Trump. This was before we found out what was on the list. All of them are going down. So the Democrats agreed to on this side, anything to take down Trump. That was the point of my conversation. But people online take it as this guy's a Trumper. I thought they were all going down with this list, okay? Apparently, it hasn't come to that yet. But people don't have discernment. They see me, I'm Chicago, I went to Catholic school. That means I'm molested and I hate gay people and whatever. People just take what you look like now and run with it. So if your name is on this list, you're going to be affected, unfortunately. And how you can explain it, nobody cares, because they just go on there and they find friends and they find other people and like, hey, you're with me, Leonardo DiCaprio's on that list, he's a pedophile too. And the story just runs. So when you say discernment, everything we have is politicized. One more point.
Please,
I just want to make.
Jeff.
One more point. And we say yesterday, like, no, everything's not politicized. The medicine we take, the shots we get for the diseases that were going around, that's all remember ivermectin? If you took that, it was cow disease or cow medicine, and you're a super Republican. Your religion is part of your political. What people think, your appearance, everything is politicized. So if you think this whole nothing burger is nothing, you're wrong. Because if your name is on its list, it's definitely going to affect you. I apologize for the long rant.
It sounds very dangerous. That's probably why Jimmy Kimmel was so forthright on his tweet.
And that might be why this was held back from the public. I think we should remember this when we always go, they're holding back information because the government doesn't want us to know. Well, the government is like, here you go. Now here's a list of names. You guys sort them out. And how we're going to sort them out is all these people will be systematically attacked.
What are you worried about? Like another Pizzagate? What are you worried about?
I'm worried about the fact that we've already seen a man with a hammer show up and attack Nancy Pelosi's husband. We've seen these Sandy Hook victims be harassed for 10 years in a row. We saw Ruby Freeman and her daughter in the last few months have to leave their home, and they will forever, as long as they're alive, get death threats. Because when you just throw people's name out with no context and leave the conspiracy theorists and the internet to figure it out, it's always going to be the most salacious thing. It's not going to be that she's handing her a cough drop when they're counting ballots. It's that she's handing her a microchip.
Right.
And so we have to understand that when you give people the raw meat of Jeffrey Epstein and then some names, and now you write your own story, like this is creative writing class, that's going to have real impact on people.
But that's the freedom of information. I mean, a newspaper asked for the court to deliver this. They did, because that's what happens in court cases. They have to present what happened.
But do they have a responsibility with their headlines? Because we've reported
the media
on this
does.
show.
The media absolutely does. But what I'm concerned about, Sam, is that everyone's forgetting about Virginia.
Right.
The whole purpose of this was that he did something awful, and we're Leonardo DiCaprio this and this, and everyone's forgetting this egregious case of Virginia. She's just getting lost in all of this. So I'd like to remind people this is about a victim, a girl, and there is more to come. We get lost in the big names and the rich and the glamour, but again, this is all about a poor girl.
I agree with you, but I will say, to Al's point and Jeff's point, if we don't have some sort of legislation to control headlines, because we've talked about it on the show that the majority of people only read that clickbait headline and then form an opinion rather than actually clicking it and then reading it and finding some sort of information that maybe they did not even know, and then that leads to discernment.
But then you have a government telling the press what to put, and that's a problem for me.
But what if it's costing people's lives, like potentially Nancy Pelosi's husband at the time?
Absolutely, but that again is up to the media. If the government is telling our press what to put in their headlines, we have a First Amendment issue.
But then
what
you
if
start
it's misleading? That's
if it's
not accurate.
Absolutely, and you can sue for defamation and other things, slander, for instance, libel, but you certainly can't allow the government to take control of our media. That I will put as
I agree with that, but I think
maybe it needs to be clear.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think we live in a different era. And Tori, you famously just said newspaper. We're living in an era where everybody is their own newspaper. And when you give people the idea of somebody's name where they can be found and where their kids go to school, we cannot still lean back on the same old traditions we had in 1960. We have to look at this differently because people are going to get killed.
Not to mention, and I know we'll go, but not to mention the echo chamber that these algorithms produce. So first you read one clickbait headline, you go, oh wow, Leonardo DiCaprio's went to Epstein Island, then the next clickbait is the same and the same. So then it reinforces this disinformation in your mind where you all of a sudden show up at that pizza place in DC.
That's our pizza place.
So was it really?
Absolutely. And you know what the neighbors did after? We lined up to get pizza after it. It was a guy who went to my high school, absolutely baseless, falseless. But that's regulating social media more than maybe the headlines of the print and the newspapers. Maybe.
Well, great conversation.